Please don't fire mommy. The snow fell softly against the tall windows of Harrison Tower, 20 floors above the busy streets of Chicago. Inside the executive boardroom, Marcus Hayes sat at the head of a long glass table, surrounded by men in dark suits. Papers were spread before them. Coffee cups sat half empty. The air felt heavy with decisions that had to be made. Marcus was tired. He had been CEO of Hayes Industries for 3 years now, and each year seemed harder than the last. The company was struggling. Profits were down. Something had to change, and that something usually meant letting people go. We need to cut 30 positions, his chief financial officer said, sliding a folder across the table. Mostly from the marketing and sales departments. If we do this before Christmas, we can start the new year fresh. Marcus picked up the folder but didn't open it. He stared at it instead, feeling the weight of 30 families in his hands. 30 people who would wake up one morning without a job. 30 households that would have a very different Christmas than they had planned. Before Christmas, he asked quietly, "It's better this way," another executive replied. "Clean break. No one wants to drag this into January." Marcus nodded slowly, though something in his chest felt tight. He had made decisions like this before. It was part of being a leader, part of running a company. But it never got easier. Each name on that list was a person. Each person had a life he knew nothing about. The meeting continued. Numbers were discussed. Projections were reviewed. Marcus listened, but his mind kept drifting to the windows, to the snow, to the city below where people were living their lives, unaware that their world might be about to change. When the meeting finally ended, the other executives filed out of the room, talking quietly among themselves. Marcus stayed behind, sitting alone at the big table. He opened the folder and began to read the names. Sarah Mitchell, Kevin Torres, Elena Rodriguez, Jennifer Brooks. Jennifer Brooks. The name sounded familiar, though he couldn't quite place it. He was about to close the folder when he heard something unusual. A small sound. A child's voice, somewhere close by. Marcus looked up, confused. His secretary had left for the evening. The floor should have been empty except for the executives, and they had all gone. He stood and walked toward the door, then stopped. There, in the hallway just outside the boardroom, stood a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. She wore a pink dress that was slightly too big for her, and she clutched a worn teddy bear against her chest. Her blonde curls fell around her face, and her blue eyes were wide and shining with tears. Marcus froze. He had no idea what to do. He spent his days making million-dollar decisions, but a crying child in his hallway was completely outside his experience. "Hello," he said carefully, kneeling down to her level. "Are you lost?" The little girl looked at him, her lower lip trembling. She took a small step forward, then another, until she was standing right in front of him. "Please," she whispered, so softly he almost couldn't hear. "Please don't fire my mommy." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He stared at the child, his mind racing. "What?" he managed to say. "My mommy," the girl said again, tears now rolling down her cheeks. "She works here. She says she might lose her job. She cries at night when she thinks I'm sleeping. She says we might not have Christmas this year." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. He looked down at the folder still in his hand, then back at the little girl. "What's your mommy's name?" he asked gently. "Jennifer Brooks," the girl said. "She's the best mommy in the whole world. She works so hard. She's always tired, but she still reads me stories and makes me breakfast and never forgets to pack my lunch." Jennifer Brooks. The name from the list. One of the 30 positions marked for termination. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he saw the little girl watching him with such hope, such desperate, innocent hope, that he felt ashamed of every decision he had made in that boardroom. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emma," she said. "Emma Brooks." "Emma," Marcus repeated. "Does your mommy know you're here?" Emma shook her head. "She's still working. She's always the last one to leave. She says she has to work extra hard so they won't fire her. But I heard her on the phone. She was crying. So I came to find you. You're the boss, right? You can save my mommy's job." Marcus didn't know what to say. He looked at this little girl with her teddy bear and her pink dress and her tears, and he saw something he had forgotten. Behind every name on every list, there was a person. And behind every person, there was a family. There were children like Emma who just wanted their mommy to come home happy. Who wanted to have Christmas? Who wanted their world to stay safe and whole? "Come with me," Marcus said softly. He took Emma's small hand in his and walked with her through the quiet hallways. He found Jennifer Brooks still at her desk on the 15th floor, her head in her hands, surrounded by papers and reports. When Jennifer looked up and saw her daughter with the CEO, her face went white. "Emma," she gasped, jumping to her feet. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Hayes. I didn't know she." "It's all right," Marcus said quietly. He looked at Jennifer, really looked at her, and saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the worry etched in her face. He saw a woman who was fighting with everything she had to keep her family together. "Emma came to talk to me," Marcus continued. "She's very brave, and she made me realize something important." Jennifer pulled Emma close, holding her tight. "I'm so sorry," she said again. "Don't be," Marcus said. He was quiet for a moment, thinking about the folder upstairs, about the 30 names, about all the Emmas in the world who shouldn't have to beg for their parents' jobs. "You're not being let go," he said finally. "In fact, I'm going to review our entire restructuring plan. We've been so focused on numbers that we forgot about people. About families. About what really matters." Jennifer stared at him, tears now streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." Marcus looked down at Emma, who was smiling up at him, her teddy bear still clutched in her arms. "Merry Christmas, Emma," he said softly. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Hayes," Emma replied. As Marcus walked back to his office that evening, the snow still falling outside the windows, he felt different. Lighter somehow. He picked up his phone and called his CFO. "About those 30 positions," Marcus said. "We're going to find another way. No one gets fired before Christmas. No one gets fired at all if we can help it. We're going to figure this out together." That night, Marcus went home to his empty apartment and realized he had spent so much time building a company that he had forgotten to build a life. But tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow, and every day after, would be different. Because a little girl in a pink dress had reminded him what really mattered. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything.